Behind the heavy oak doors of Royal Lodge, a 30-room sanctuary has officially become a gilded prison. For years, the world saw a united front, but the staff who walked those silent hallways tell a much darker story. One of military-grade discipline, explosive outbursts, and rituals so bizarre they seem more like fiction than reality. From the strictly enforced battlefield layouts in the master bedroom to the frantic high-stakes demands of a duchess who refused to let go of the past, the mask has finally slipped. The locks are being changed, the titles are gone, and the secrets are pouring out. But the most shocking revelation isn't about their downfall. It's about what happened the night the moving trucks finally arrived. You'll want to stay with us until the very end, because the final piece of this puzzle explains exactly why their own daughters are reportedly fleeing the country to escape the fallout. If you want the unfiltered truth behind the palace gates, join our channel by hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications. We're just getting started. The once unbreakable alliance between Andrew and Sarah Ferguson has officially reached its breaking point, and the fallout is reportedly becoming a legal nightmare. For years, they were famously known as the world's happiest divorced couple, sharing afternoon tea daily within the 30-room expanse of Royal Lodge. But as the moving trucks cleared out the last of their belongings in early 2026, insiders say the friendship didn't just cool, it froze. Reports suggest that Sarah feels utterly abandoned, having stood by Andrew through years of public scrutiny, only to find herself left without a royal roof over her head, while he was quietly settled into a farmhouse on the Sandringham estate. Rumors indicate that the tension has escalated to the point where legal warnings are allegedly being exchanged. It is believed that Sarah has been quietly moving boxes of her private diaries, volumes filled with decades of royal secrets, out of the mansion in preparation for a high-stakes memoir. Sources claim that Andrew is deeply concerned about what these pages might reveal, with some reports suggesting he has even threatened to block the project entirely. This isn't just a disagreement over a book, it's a battle for control over a narrative that has been carefully guarded for over 30 years. According to those close to the situation, Sarah's current lifestyle has become a frantic high-speed game of hide-and-seek. It is claimed she is now on a secret world tour, moving between the homes of discreet friends in Ireland, Tuscany, and the Alps to avoid the glare of the press. Insiders say she carries 3 different mobile phones, constantly swapping them to stay off the radar while her financial security hangs by a thread. There are whispers that she was recently spotted staying in staff quarters at a luxury resort because the nightly rates for guests had become impossible to maintain. As she navigates this uncertain new reality, the distance between her and the man she once called her best friend is allegedly growing wider every day. The loyal buffer she once provided against Andrew's temper has vanished, replaced by a deep disillusionment that is reportedly causing a significant rift within the family. But as Sarah scrambles to find a permanent home, the focus is shifting back to the bizarre world Andrew left behind at the lodge. A world where his demands for order reached a level that most people would find hard to believe. And the staff are finally ready to talk about the strange rituals that happened every single morning before the sun even came up. The transition from the 30-room expanse of Royal Lodge to a modest farmhouse wasn't just a logistical nightmare for Andrew, it was a psychological collapse centered around a collection of childhood toys. Reports suggest that as the final eviction deadline loomed in early 2026, the man once known as the Duke of York suffered what insiders are calling a full-on meltdown. But the reason for his distress wasn't just the loss of his status or his home. According to sources close to the household, Andrew was allegedly convinced that his collection of 72 teddy bears wouldn't cope with the change. It is claimed he repeatedly told staff that he couldn't leave because Royal Lodge was the bears' home too, displaying a level of attachment that left even seasoned royal aides baffled. This wasn't just an eccentric hobby, it was a strictly enforced military operation that defined the daily lives of his staff. Insiders say that every morning, a team of maids had to follow a laminated battlefield diagram to arrange the bears in a precise order of size and rank. The largest bears were placed at the back, with the smaller ones lined up in descending order to the front. Rumors indicate that 2 specific bears, his absolute favorites, were given pride of place on mahogany thrones beside his bed. It is believed that staff underwent a full day of training just to master the placement of these toys. and any deviation from the chart would reportedly trigger a verbal outburst that could be heard throughout the palace. The level of control he demanded over these objects was, according to some, a reflection of a man desperate to hold on to a reality that no longer existed. Sources claim that the collection featured dozens of bears in custom sailor suits and uniforms, alongside cushions embroidered with the titles he has now been forced to surrender. But as the moving trucks finally arrived, the army was reportedly disbanded. Reports suggest that the vast majority of the collection has been sent into storage in a South London warehouse, as his new residence at Marsh Farm simply doesn't have the space to accommodate them. According to those who witnessed the final move, Andrew was allowed to bring only one item from his cherished collection to his new life in Sandringham. It is claimed he chose a single stuffed monkey to accompany him into exile, leaving the rest of his companions behind in the dark. But while the bears are locked away, the human cost of his behavior is still coming to light. The culture of fear that governed Royal Lodge didn't just end with the eviction, it has left a lasting impact on the staff who were forced to endure it. And as we dig deeper into the accounts from former employees, the picture of what it was truly like to work under the Yorks becomes even more unsettling. The polished hallways of Royal Lodge may have looked like a dream, but for the staff working inside, it was reportedly a living nightmare. Insiders say that while other royals maintained a level of formal kindness, Andrew was known for a volatile temperament that kept employees in a state of constant, high-alert anxiety. Allegedly, it wasn't just about the major rules. It was the tiny, unpredictable errors that could trigger a verbal storm. Reports suggest that something as minor as a curtain being drawn too tightly or a breakfast tray being an inch off center was enough to spark an outburst. For the staff, it wasn't just a job. It was a daily exercise in survival, where one wrong move could lead to a humiliating public scolding. Rumors indicate that this culture of fear has followed him to his new, much smaller life at Marsh Farm. According to sources, Andrew is finding it difficult to adjust to a world where he doesn't have a small army of servants at his beck and call. It is claimed that a recent move to house his remaining staff in a mobile home on the property has led to what some are calling a palace mutiny. Employees allegedly feel humiliated by the temporary living conditions, with insiders saying the atmosphere has become increasingly toxic. Some reports suggest that several long-term aides have even refused to make the move to Norfolk, choosing to resign rather than endure what they describe as egomaniacal treatment. The level of entitlement is said to have reached a peak when it comes to basic respect. It is believed that Andrew often treated those around him as if they were entirely beneath him, allegedly telling staff to get out, using language that many found obscene. This wasn't a one-time incident. Rumors indicate it was a pattern of behavior that left the household feeling more like a high-pressure zone than a residence. Even his former protection officers reportedly noticed an arrogance that made their work nearly impossible. Sources claim that in the final days at Windsor, the staff weren't mourning the end of an era. They were counting the seconds until they could finally walk away. But as the staff finally speak out about the reality of working for the man now known simply as Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, the focus is shifting to how Sarah Ferguson navigated this chaotic environment. While she was often seen as the friendly, approachable face of the York household, new accounts suggest that behind closed doors, her own demands were just as intense. It is claimed that as their world began to shrink, the pressure on her staff didn't decrease. It skyrocketed. And as the couple's relationship faced its final physical separation, Sarah's behavior reportedly took a turn that shocked even her most loyal supporters. According to those close to the situation, the physical separation has exposed a series of outrageous demands that were previously hidden behind the palace gates. It is claimed that Sarah is now navigating her new reality with a fleet of burner phones, desperately trying to stay ahead of the press, while her daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, reportedly resist any permanent move to have their mother live with them. Rumors suggest that the Duchess even spent time staying in staff quarters at a high-end resort because she could no longer afford the nightly guest rates. A staggering fall for a woman who once called a royal palace home. As she scrambles to secure her future, the distance between her and the man she once called her rock is allegedly growing into a canyon that can no longer be bridged. The loyalty that once defined the York household has been replaced by a heavy sadness and a frantic search for independence. But while Sarah looks for a new place to call home, her daughters have already made their own radical decisions to escape the chaos. And what happened when the princesses finally decided they had seen enough would send shockwaves through the entire Windsor family. The once united front of the York family has officially shattered, and the most telling sign of the collapse isn't coming from the parents, it's coming from the daughters who are reportedly fleeing the fallout. In early May 2026, the image of a close-knit royal unit was replaced by one of frantic exits and heavy suitcases. Reports suggest that Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have reached a breaking point, feeling that the terrible burden of their parents' reputation has left them with no choice but to step back from the UK entirely. This isn't just a holiday. It's being described by insiders as a desperate search for a fresh start, away from a name that has become synonymous with scandal. Rumors indicate that Beatrice was recently spotted loading massive trunks into a taxi, reportedly mortified by the latest revelations and looking toward the United States for sanctuary. It is claimed she is considering a permanent move to join her husband, Eduardo, in a life far removed from the cold reality of her father's eviction. Meanwhile, Eugenie has allegedly made her own radical choice to expand her family while living between London and a palatial retreat in Portugal. Sources say the sisters are choosing privacy over protocol, skipping major royal milestones like the 2026 Easter service to avoid being the face of a family in decline. The distance between the sisters and Royal Lodge isn't just physical, it's emotional. It is believed that both women were deeply shaken when their father was stripped of his titles and forced into a modest farmhouse on the Sandringham estate. According to sources close to the family, the princesses feel they've been left to navigate the wreckage of their parents' choices alone. While Sarah Ferguson reportedly moves between luxury wellness clinics and the homes of wealthy friends, her daughters are building lives where the York stain can't reach them. But as the sisters settle into their self-imposed exile abroad, the final chapter for their parents is being written back in the UK. The physical separation of Andrew and Sarah, for the first time in 20 years, has exposed a reality that no amount of royal tradition can hide. The walls of Royal Lodge are finally silent, but the legacy of what happened inside is about to face its ultimate test. And as we look at what's left of the House of York, one final shocking truth remains about the night the moving trucks finally stopped, and what was found left behind in the empty halls. The silence now echoing through Royal Lodge is the most expensive quiet in British history, and it signals the absolute end of the York era. Reports suggest that as the final deadline passed in early May 2026, the 30-room mansion wasn't just emptied of furniture, it was stripped of the very identity that protected Andrew and Sarah for decades. But the most shocking development didn't happen behind palace walls, it happened on the winding roads of the Sandringham estate. According to recent reports, Andrew, now living as a commoner at Marsh Farm, was allegedly confronted by a masked individual during a solitary dog walk, a terrifying security breach that highlights exactly how vulnerable he has become without his royal protection. It is claimed he is now desperately requesting his security be reinstated, a plea that has so far been met with a cold silence from the king. While Andrew adjusts to his new, fenced-in reality in Norfolk, Sarah Ferguson is reportedly facing what insiders describe as a housing crisis of her own. Rumors indicate she feels deeply disillusioned and abandoned after years of loyalty, allegedly holed up in a luxury wellness retreat in Switzerland while she considers her next move. Sources claim that her path back to the UK is fraught with difficulty, as her daughters' husbands are reportedly insisting on hard boundaries to keep the chaos of the York household away from their own young families. It is believed that Sarah is now looking toward Portugal as a final escape route, hoping to lead a quieter life near her grandchildren and away from the relentless scrutiny of the British press. The physical separation of the couple for the first time in over 20 years marks the total collapse of the happiest divorced couple illusion. Allegedly, the tension between them has grown so thin that they are no longer speaking directly, communicating only through intermediaries as they navigate their separate exiles. But even as they attempt to fade into the background, the arrival of a new royal baby this summer is expected to pull the spotlight back onto them one last time. Insiders say the king has made it clear, while the family continues to grow, the former Duke and Duchess will remain on the outside looking in, a permanent reminder of what happens when arrogance outweighs duty. The story of Royal Lodge is no longer about a house. It's about the inevitable decline of a legacy built on sand. As the moving trucks finally stop and the dust settles on Marsh Farm, the question isn't whether Andrew and Sarah can return to royal life. It's whether they can survive the reality of the life they have left. The gates are locked, the titles are gone, and the world they once ruled has officially moved on without them. But as one chapter ends, the secrets they left behind in those empty halls are only just beginning to surface. What do you think is the real reason the king finally forced his brother out? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates on the ongoing fallout of the Windsor family.